Beyond the sun-scorched plains of Arizona, behind a heavy wrought-iron gate, lies a world wrapped in silence and song. This is Stevie Nicks's hidden sanctuary, a Mediterranean-style ranch where magic lingers in the stone walls, arched ceilings, and gardens kissed by desert winds. But why did the Queen of Rock choose this quiet corner of the world to retreat from the stage? Today, we step into her enchanted world. Her million-dollar estate, her timeless career, her cars, and the secrets of a life lived like a spell. She was born in the heart of Phoenix, Arizona, on a warm May morning in 1948. But even as a child, Stevie Nicks didn't walk. She floated. Raised in a home filled with music, guarded imagination, and the scent of gardenias from her mother's perfume, Stevie's world was shaped long before she knew the weight of fame. At 4 years old, she was already singing duets with her grandfather, A.J. Nicks, a former country crooner who believed his granddaughter carried something ancient. Magic, perhaps? But her childhood wasn't still. With her father's career at Greyhound, the family moved constantly, from Phoenix to Salt Lake, Albuquerque to El Paso, and eventually to the Golden Hills of California. Every new city left her feeling uprooted. But in her solitude, she found records, stacks of them. The Shirelles, the Everly Brothers, the Shangri-Las, tiny melodies that became the voice in her head, and eventually, her own. She wrote her first song at 16 on a Goya guitar, gifted on her birthday. I've loved and I've lost, and I'm sad but not blue. Not blue. That phrase could have summed up her entire life. Loss wrapped in lace and light. At Arcadia High School, she joined her first band, The Changing Times, singing harmonies, performing folk songs, testing the boundaries of her voice. But the moment that changed everything? It came in 1966, in a youth club, with a boy and a song, Lindsey Buckingham. She heard him sing California Dreamin', and without hesitation, walked up and added a harmony that stunned them both. From that night on, they were inseparable, on stage and off. Together, they joined the psychedelic band Fritz, opening for the likes of Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin. And under those roaring crowds, Stevie's signature stage presence was born. Flowing sleeves, spinning motions, eyes half closed like she was somewhere between a dream and a vision. After high school, they both attended San Jose State, but Stevie's heart wasn't in textbooks. It was in verses. With her father's blessing, she dropped out to pursue music full-time with Lindsey. It was a leap most wouldn't take, but she did, and never looked back. In 1973, they released their first album together, Buckingham Nicks. It flopped. But destiny isn't always loud at first. Mick Fleetwood heard the album and invited both to join Fleetwood Mac in 1975. From that moment, the legend of Stevie Nicks truly began. Her very first contribution to the band? Rhiannon, a song about a Welsh witch she read about in a book at an airport. A haunting melody. A voice unlike any other. A presence you couldn't forget. The band's next album, Rumors, exploded. 20 times platinum, one of the best-selling albums of all time. And with it came songs that etched themselves into American memory. Dreams, Landslide, Go Your Own Way. But fame came with pain. Affairs, addictions, breakdowns. The band was breaking at the seams, and so was she. Yet in 1981, amid all the chaos, she released her solo debut, Belladonna, and once again topped the charts. Stevie Nicks had gone from mystical frontwoman to solo powerhouse. Over the decades, she would release 8 solo albums, tour relentlessly, and become the only woman ever inducted twice into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, first with Fleetwood Mac, then as a solo artist. But through it all, through platinum records, arena tours, and rock anthems, Stevie always longed for something deeper, something quieter, something like home. And that's exactly what she found in Arizona, where magic and music meet under a desert sky. So what does a rock goddess's real-life sanctuary look like? Let's open the gates and step into the spellbound world of her Arizona ranch in Arizona. It begins at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. No tour buses, no screaming fans. Just the wind through the desert brush and the distant silhouette of mountain peaks standing guard. Here, tucked away on 3.64 pristine acres in Tucson, Arizona, lies a home that doesn't just shelter, it whispers. A 6,030-square-foot Mediterranean Tuscan estate, handcrafted by renowned architect John Klein. A sanctuary not of marble and mirrors, but of soul and silence. As you pass through the custom-designed iron gates and follow the stone path past manicured gardens, the first thing you hear is water. A majestic Italian fountain greets you at the entry courtyard, its gentle rhythm like a prelude to the music this place holds inside. The home opens with a grand foyer beneath cathedral ceilings that soar like a crescendo. Sunlight spills in through arched windows, touching the custom alder wood and soft stone walls with golden grace. This isn't a house built to impress, it's a house built to feel. The formal living room, with its softly domed ceilings and glowing fireplace, feels more like a cathedral of reflection, where Stevie might sit alone, cup of tea in hand, journaling lyrics only she understands. At the center of the home is a chef's kitchen, not overly modern, but deeply elegant. Wolf appliances, granite countertops, hand-carved cabinetry. Here, meals are made for one or two, not parties. And yet, every inch feels ready for magic. The master suite? It's poetry, framed by wide windows that offer panoramic views of the mountains, the city, the sunrise, and the desert twilight that wraps the estate in hush. 2 walk-in closets, a sitting room with a stone fireplace, hardwood floors beneath bare feet, and a spa-style bath with a whirlpool tub and steam shower. But this room isn't just for rest. It's for ritual. A place to read, to write, to be. Down the hall, 5 more bedrooms provide space for family, friends, or no one at all. A detached guest house adds even more solitude. A home within a home. Private garage, private laundry, private thoughts. But what truly sets this ranch apart isn't the luxury. It's the soul. Because beyond the walls is everything else Stevie Nicks might need. A saltwater pool with a curved slide, 3 shaded ramadas, an outdoor kitchen with twin BBQs, a fire pit, and mounted televisions. Yet none of it feels loud, just intentional. Even the children's play area, with its faux grass field and custom toy set, feels like it was carved out for joy, not spectacle. At the edge of the property, the horse facilities. Ventilated stables with auto water feeders, a floodlit riding arena, hay barn, tack room, grooming station, and a trailhead that opens into miles of riding paths and untouched Arizona land. The kind of trails where you don't just ride, you disappear. And yet, even in this rural hush, modernity hums beneath the surface. Smart home systems, solar panels, EV chargers, 3-car garage with epoxy floors and TVs mounted for quiet morning rituals. This is a place where nature and technology don't clash, they collaborate. It's no wonder she chose this as her retreat. Here, Stevie Nicks isn't a performer. She's a priestess of stillness, a woman at peace among cactus, coyotes, and stars. So, while the world remembers her for the stage, this is the place that remembers her soul. But what about the other home? The one where melodies are born and guitars hang like relics on the wall? Let's fly west, to Los Angeles, and step inside a sanctuary built not for silence, but for song. Mansion in Los Angeles. If her Arizona ranch is silence made real, then this is where the music lives. Nestled in the sun-drenched hills of Los Angeles, Stevie Nicks' second home is smaller, just 1,062 square feet, but no less sacred. Purchased for $2 million, this Mediterranean-style retreat isn't a mansion, it's a mood. From the outside, it looks like something pulled from a dream. Curved architecture hugs the landscape. Tiled red roof, stucco walls wrapped in creeping vines, flowering jasmine spilling over stone planters. It whispers of old Hollywood and secret poetry. And yet, it's unmistakably hers. Open the door, and you don't just enter a house, you enter Stevie's soul. The living room is drenched in filtered light from tall windows, softened by sheer velvet curtains. Persian rugs in deep crimson and indigo warm the dark hardwood floors, while antique chandeliers catch the sun like crystal spells. A fireplace anchors the space, not grand, but glowing. The kind of place where you can picture Stevie sitting cross-legged on the floor, a shawl draped over her shoulders, notebook open, candle flickering. Every inch feels curated, but never calculated. Step further, and you arrive at the dining area, an eclectic blend of vintage and whimsy. Mismatched chairs, a weathered oak table, tapestries hang like memories across the wall. Then the kitchen, sleek but soulful. Black cabinets, white brick walls, high-end appliances. It's not cold and clinical, it's lived in, real. You can almost smell the tea brewing. And beyond that, the bedroom. A sanctuary within a sanctuary. It's modest, even quiet, just as she likes it. But through a private door, the world opens up. A lush garden, green with mature trees, hummingbirds flitting from bloom to bloom. It's a place for deep exhalations and wordless mornings. And hidden within this haven, a room that holds legend. Her music room, her studio. A space filled with guitars, keyboards, crystal trinkets, and vintage jewelry laid out like offerings to the muses. This is where Edge of 17 was written, where harmonies floated through incense-smoked air and became immortal. It doesn't feel like a workspace. It feels like a temple. Here, the walls don't echo. They absorb. Ideas, dreams, whispers. The ghosts of melodies not yet born. Outside, two wooden decks offer a soft transition between inner world and outer calm. One faces the garden, perfect for meditations. The other wraps around the pool, flanked by plush seating and flickering lanterns, ideal for intimate gatherings under California stars. It's not flashy, it's not loud, it's personal. This Los Angeles sanctuary isn't just where she writes, it's where she remembers, where she grieves, where she transforms sorrow into song. Some homes are trophies. This one is a diary. And like all of Stevie Nicks' spaces, it holds more than beauty. It holds intention. But homes are only part of the legend. What does a rock goddess drive when she leaves these sacred walls behind? Step into the story of her wheels. She may have danced through the 70s in flowing chiffon and platform boots, but behind the wheel, Stevie Nicks has always had a taste for power, poise, and timeless style. Her car collection isn't vast, but it's intentional. Each ride tells a story. Each one is a song with wheels. Let's start at the beginning. Cars. The Cadillac Fleetwood. The name alone sounds like destiny. This vintage American masterpiece is more than just a nod to Fleetwood Mac. It's a symbol of elegance from an era when cars felt like living rooms on the road. Long, low, luxurious. Stevie's model features a creamy leather interior, wide bench seating, and a gliding suspension that turns every ride into a ballad. Under the hood, a robust V8 hums like a low gospel, powerful but never arrogant. She once called it her moving cocoon, a space where she could escape, scribble lyrics at red lights, or just ride silently with the wind in her hair. Today, well-preserved Fleetwoods range from $20,000 to $50,000, depending on condition. But for Stevie, this car is priceless. It's memory, it's motion, it's America in a time capsule. Then there's the Mercedes-Benz W113, better known as the Pagoda. A roadster of rare elegance named for its uniquely concave roofline that resembles a Japanese temple. But make no mistake, this car isn't delicate. It's graceful strength on wheels. Powered by a straight-six engine, the Pagoda offers razor-sharp steering and a low-slung profile that hugs the road like a whispered melody. Stevie reportedly adored its mix of softness and steel. Leather seats that wrapped around her like a stage shawl. Wood-paneled dashboard that felt more like an instrument than a control panel. It's the kind of car you drive on canyon roads at sunset, with nothing but a scarf, sunglasses, and silence. Value today? $80,000 to $150,000 for pristine models. Collector grade, much like Stevie herself. And finally, the wild card. The Dodge Charger, a muscle car. Bold, loud, fast. Seemingly at odds with her mystical image. And yet, a perfect fit. Because beneath the lace and layered vocals, Stevie Nicks is fire. Her Charger, equipped with a beastly V8, growls with raw energy. It's the car she drives when she's feeling bold, unapologetic, alive. SRT trims can reach up to $70,000, and it's not about status, it's about thrill. She once said, "I need something that reminds me I'm still in motion." The Charger? That's her lightning bolt. 3 cars. 3 sides of the woman we think we know. 1, a ghost from the golden age. 1, a sculpture in motion. 1, a rebel's heartbeat. Each of them carries pieces of her journey, of backstage goodbyes, silent dawn drives, and lyrics formed on winding roads. And while the world remembers her in lace and spotlight, Stevie Nicks also lives in these moments. Engine humming, wind whistling, world blurring. But how did she afford it all? The cars, the homes, the long, quiet mornings? Let's shift gears and explore the fortune behind the fairy tale. $120 million. That's the number most people see when they search Stevie Nicks' net worth. But numbers don't sing, and they certainly don't tell the whole story. To understand her fortune, you have to understand the frequency it vibrates on. It begins in 1977 with an album called Rumors. At the time, Fleetwood Mac was falling apart emotionally, romantically entangled, creatively exhausted, and holding it together with tape and tequila. But what emerged was a miracle, an album that would go on to sell over 40 million copies worldwide. Rumors became a machine, spinning gold, platinum, and more gold again. One song alone, Dreams, still generates hundreds of thousands of dollars per year in royalties. And Stevie wrote it in 10 minutes, sitting cross-legged on the floor of Sly Stone's empty bedroom with just a Fender Rhodes and a heartbreak. Then came her solo era. When Belladonna debuted at #1 in 1981, the industry was stunned. A woman leaving the security of a band? Risky. But the album went 4 times platinum, and suddenly, Stevie Nicks wasn't just a band member. She was a brand. Tour after tour followed, each one more elaborate, more theatrical, more iconic. From the chiffon twirls to the black top hat, her image became marketing gold. She wrote, she performed. She licensed her songs to films, ads, and, years later, viral TikToks. Remember that cranberry juice skateboarding video set to Dreams? That single viral moment revived the track, sending it back to the Billboard charts and generating a surge in streaming royalties. More than $200,000 in earnings in under a month. Then there's the catalog deal. In 2020, Stevie sold a majority stake in her publishing rights to Primary Wave, reportedly for $100 million. That includes hits like Edge of 17, Landslide, Rhiannon, and more. It was a business decision, one rooted not in need, but in legacy. "I wanted to ensure these songs would live forever," she said. And now they will. Add in real estate, her Arizona ranch and Los Angeles hideaway, and you begin to see how her wealth isn't just measured in streams or square footage. It's measured in staying power. Even now, her shows sell out. Her vinyl reissues fly off shelves. Younger generations discover her like a spell cast decades ago. And she doesn't spend recklessly. She invests in peace, in privacy, in permanence. For Stevie Nicks, wealth was never the goal. Freedom was. The freedom to walk away from toxic deals, to build a life that feels like a song, to retreat to the desert when the lights get too bright. Her fortune isn't loud. It doesn't roar. It whispers in velvet. And while others may chase fame for fortune, Stevie found fortune through truth. But how does she use that wealth? Not just to live, but to lift others. Let's move from quiet fortune to quiet giving. Philanthropy. She never built a charity empire, never slapped her name on foundations or chased cameras at red carpet galas. But Stevie Nicks has always given, quietly, intentionally, like a spell cast under moonlight. Her journey into philanthropy began with heartbreak. In 1981, at the very height of Belladonna's success, Stevie lost her best friend, Robin Anderson, to leukemia. It shattered her. And in that moment of grief, something changed. She didn't just mourn Robin, she promised her memory would mean something. Over the years, Stevie began contributing to cancer research, funding grants and initiatives in Robin's name. No press releases, no staged check handoffs, just action. But her giving didn't stop with grief. During the Iraq War, she did something few celebrities even thought to do. She visited wounded veterans. But she didn't come with cameras. She came with iPods. Thousands of them. Each one loaded with hundreds of hand-picked songs, her own and others. She called the project Songs for Soldiers. Because she believed music could do what medicine sometimes couldn't, heal the unseen wounds. You hand someone music, you're handing them memory, escape, a way back to themselves, she once said. And they wrote back. Letters, drawings, thank you notes from men and women who hadn't smiled in weeks, suddenly moved by a playlist from a rock goddess who understood pain. Stevie also quietly supports causes close to her spirit. Music education for girls, women in recovery, artists without medical insurance. She's donated anonymously to shelters and rescue missions. She's funded scholarships at schools she's never attended. And she's shown up, often backstage or off camera, to give support to struggling younger musicians who just needed one person to say, "You belong." Because Stevie Nicks never forgot what it felt like to be young, scared, and trying to sing through the noise. Her philanthropy isn't performative. It's personal. It comes from the same place her lyrics do, raw, real, and born of experience. And in a world where generosity often demands recognition, Stevie chooses invisibility. Because for her, the point isn't to be seen giving. It's to give, quietly, truly, and with grace, just as she's done her whole life. But behind all this, the giving, the music, the mystique, who is Stevie Nicks? Really? Not the legend, not the goddess, but the woman, alone, at home, with a journal and a cat and a view of the stars. Let's open the final curtain. Personal life. She's never been one to overshare. No tell-all interviews, no tabloid-fueled feuds. Because for Stevie Nicks, the most sacred parts of life happen away from the spotlight. In solitude, in silence, in the flickering glow of candlelight, with a notebook open and time slowing to a whisper. Her private life has always been hers, and fiercely so. Her only marriage was brief, sudden, and shrouded in sadness. In 1983, after her best friend Robin passed from leukemia, Stevie married Robin's widower, Kim Anderson, not out of romance, but out of grief. "I thought I was doing the right thing, for her baby," she later said. But 3 months later, they quietly divorced. Because pain doesn't build foundations, it only teaches you how to let go. Still, Stevie stayed in touch with Robin's son, raised him, paid for his college education. He now calls her Grandma Stevie. And though she never had children of her own, Stevie is far from alone. "I have many children," she says, referring to her nieces, goddaughters, and the young artists she's mentored. She's the crazy aunt, the one who sends magical gifts, gives brutally honest advice, and shows up when you least expect her. Marriage? Motherhood? They weren't her path. "My mission wasn't to be a wife or mom," she once told The Guardian. "My mission was to write songs that help wives and moms feel better." So she built her own kind of family, one rooted in art, in love, in loyalty that doesn't need last names to be real. Today, much of her life unfolds within the quiet walls of her Arizona ranch. Morning walks through the desert garden. Evenings by the fire pit under a velvet sky. Journals filled with ink and memory. She's been journaling nearly every day since her Fleetwood Mac days. Decades of handwritten thoughts, tucked into leather-bound volumes lined with gardenia-scented pages. She once said, "When I'm gone, my fairy goddaughters will sit on the floor, open these books, and walk through my life. They'll smell the pages. They'll feel who I was and who is she today. Still writing, still dreaming, still spinning, both literally and metaphorically." She rarely appears in public without a shawl, not as a costume, but as a comfort, a talisman, a continuation of who she's always been. She still loves candles, velvet, full moons, still reads poetry, still walks barefoot across stone floors, still surrounds herself with music, cats, crystals, and the kind of energy you don't see, but feel. There's no entourage, no noise, just a woman and her space, still learning, still listening, still Stevie. And as the world continues to chase bigger, faster, louder, she chooses slower, softer, truer, because that's where the real magic lives. But what does all this leave us with? A ranch, a legacy, a life of lace and thunder and stillness. Let's close the circle and reflect on what Stevie Nicks has truly built. The desert doesn't demand attention. It just is. Timeless, fierce, soft, much like the woman who chose to call it home. When the sun sinks below the mountains of Arizona and the last light hits the terracotta walls of her ranch, there is no applause, no encore, only stillness. And maybe that's exactly what Stevie Nicks was chasing all along. For decades, she gave the world a voice, one that howled, whispered, soared. She turned pain into poetry, heartbreak into harmony, and solitude into strength. From Phoenix to Fleetwood, from heartbreak hotel rooms to sold-out arenas, from black lace stages to sun-drenched gardens lined with bougainvillea. She never followed the rules. She followed rhythm. And now, with her fortune quietly humming beneath her, with songs that still echo through generations, she's not chasing dreams anymore. She's living inside one. Because the truest luxury is not the estate, not the cars, not the $1 million royalty checks. It's this: a life built on her own terms, a home filled with silence that she chose, a legacy she wrote in her own handwriting, one journal entry, one melody, one whispered lyric at a time. Stevie Nicks didn't just survive the machine of fame, she transcended it. And then, she left the door open behind her, just wide enough for the next dreamer to walk through. So when you think of her now, don't just picture the top hat and the tambourine. Picture her under the stars, barefoot in the garden, writing another line no one's heard yet. And ask yourself, isn't that what magic really looks like? If Stevie Nicks's story moved you, if her life of music, solitude, and quiet power left an echo in your heart, then don't let it fade into silence. Tap like, subscribe, and ring the bell to join us on more journeys into the homes and hearts of the world's most fascinating legends. And in the comments below, tell us, what does your kind of magic look like?